Around January 16, the Chinese publisher NetEase has officially parted ways with Blizzard over licensing agreement, ending their partnership of over 14 years since 2008, and will no longer provide game service to the Chinese players. Blizzard actually made the announcement back in November 16th of last year, stating the contract will terminate at January 23rd. But since then, Blizzard tried to negotiate a 6-month buffer time with NetEase, hoping after the contract ended, NetEase can keep the server running upon previous contract deal until Blizzard can find a new publisher or when a 6-month period runs out. To which NetEase said no. Actually, they called Blizzard rude, unprofessional, and called this behavior divorced but still attached, which I thought is pretty funny. However, the 2-month waiting period have Chinese players to coping over the possibility that maybe Blizzard can strike a deal with NetEase, and they can wake up from this nightmare, resume playing after January 23rd, and this whole thing is just gonna blow over like a wet dream until reality hit it in the face. The response from Chinese players have been unanimously negative towards Blizzard for not renewing the contract. Some of them even call for boycott of any future Blizzard game, even though no one knows the detail of the contract, but hating on foreign company is basic courtesy in China, so that's not very surprising. This will include games like World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Warcraft 3 Reforged, Overwatch 2, StarCraft series, Diablo, and Hero of the Storm. Funny enough, because Diablo Immortal is co-developed and published under a separate agreement between two companies, China gets to keep Diablo Immortal. It sounds like your friend goes to your dorm room, drop a big fat dump, and leave you with a clock toll and leave the premises. But since then, Blizzard had provided an option for players to manually download progress from WoW to their own PC. So in future, if and when Blizzard find a new publisher, players can upload their file and rejoin seamlessly. Now you might be wondering why Blizzard didn't just save players' data from their server and but instead choose to make players save their progress on their own device. Well, that's because Blizzard have no access to Chinese servers. Blizzard have also issued refunds for players who have bought the new WoW and Hearthstone expansion. So now you understand what happened. Let's talk about why and how the deal fell through and what does it mean for you. So the first thing that you gotta understand is that almost no company on this green earth doesn't want to work with China. China has more than 1.4 billion people, and that's tens of billions of dollars left on the table by not working with them. However, seldom does any company do. The main reason is that the sentiment doesn't go both ways. Chinese government is really protective over their own capital. They would much prefer having ownership to their own economy than have it fall under foreign regime. So what usually happens is foreign company really wants to work with China, but it's forced out of the country via heavy regulation and heavy revenue share. Once they're forced out of the competition, they create their own bootlegged version of the said company, which is what I like to call young them forgot to twist. So instead of Snapchat, they have WeChat. Instead of Twitter, they have Weibo. Instead of Google, they have Baidu. Instead of YouTube, they have Bilibili. Instead of Twitch, they have Douyi. They actually have a lot of competing streaming platforms, which is something that I wish we have so that we have more options to choose from, and Twitch couldn't just liquidate down their user and put 4 30-second ads every 5 minutes. I mean, TikTok is basically just Vine but made in China. Man, Twitter really pumped the back on that one. But even then, there are differences between Chinese version of TikTok and other countries' versions of TikTok. So instead of vandalizing school bathroom and drinking rancid sauce, they have science and educational content. Poor Chinese. So it's more than likely that this is the same thing that happened with Blizzard. In order for any foreign games to be released on Chinese market, it has to be launched under a publisher, and this publisher pretty much does nothing and takes about 50% cut of the revenue. Although NetEase does hold server and localization for Chinese players, but judging by this post 2 years ago outlining the rampant cheating, money training, and ad spam bots, NetEase is clearly not doing a very good job. Foreign game maker also needs to go through strict and arduous review process by the authority, which happens only once a year. What makes the matter even worse is that they delayed the review process last year for more than 18 months. That's not even including Chinese government limits the amount of screen time children can spend on video games so that they can only play 3 hours on the weekend, which means less potential customer for Blizzard. That's not even mentioning the whole net neutrality fiasco and the revenue split. All of these things combined, it makes Blizzard really hard to justify renewing the partnership with NetEase. Let's not forget, Blizzard is also a sinking company. Their upcoming games are pretty much dead in the water, with Microsoft acquisition being heavily scrutinized by EU antitrust committee. On top of that, NetEase being a pretty successful company on their own can hobble Blizzard as much as they want, because at this point, Blizzard needs them more than they need Blizzard. Although it did cause a blow to NetEase stock price for about 9%, they bounced back pretty well since then, following China's lift on COVID restrictions. But enough about this business mumbo jumbo, what does that mean for you? What you need to understand is that VPN is very popular in China, and obviously no kid is gonna follow some stupid regulation about video game screen time. Like, what are you gonna do? Lock some kids out for playing video game? Players are going to find some ways to get their fix, so they are more than likely going to jump over the fence and play on your lawn. Remember that post from 2 years ago highlighting cheaters and spammer problem in Chinese server? Well, those issues are leaking into other servers as well. From what I've gathered on forums and YouTube, players from Asian server have been reporting more inflammatory species, more cheaters, more bots, more griefers, and more ass spams. There must always be a Lich King. Without Blizzard's command, the Chinese Scourge will become an even greater threat to this world. Now, all jokes aside, this situation is pretty bad for all sides. Blizzard, NetEase, and especially the players. Chinese players are very passionate about Blizzard games. I mean, Blizzard silenced free speech for them. How can you not love them after that? But more than that, it's 14 years of deep-rooted gaming culture, with millions of players live and breathe Blizzard title. I cried all night in my sleep because the game went offline. I dreamed I was crying in the middle of class. Jesus Christ, you need more in your life, man. I don't agree with ascribing Blizzard as this evil, greedy corporation that solely yearns for profit. They are, but so is NetEase. This whole situation is basically Blizzard requesting 6-month extension because they're afraid of the public backlash, to which NetEase said no. We want them to be angry at you. We want them to be hating you once this is over. There's no other explanation. The deal was good for everybody. They can both make money during this time, and the player can still enjoy the game. It's a real triple win. But clearly these two companies values lining their pocket more than the best interest of their customers, especially for NetEase. What I think a big reason of why the deal didn't go through is because NetEase is literally making their own World of Warcraft clone, which I'm sure working with someone who's actively trying to copy you is a really great feeling. With Blizzard one step out of China, Tencent immediately announced their own version of World of Warcraft, and I have seen a lot of Chinese IP theft. But this has to be the most brazen imitation of a video game I've ever seen. It's down to the same camera angle and cinematography, which leads me to the conspiracy theory. Both companies just so happens to have World of Warcraft clone announcement on the go, just waiting for Blizzard to leave China. Remember when I say Chinese market push out the competition and replace them with one of their own? Yeah. On top of that, NetEase certainly have bad blood with Blizzard, because just recently, they toned down the gold health statue outside of their headquarters. It's worth mentioning that with them losing Blizzard license, they probably cannot keep the statue up anyway, and they're replacing it with a weapon in Naraka Blade Point, which is a game that they published. However, it's still very questionable to livestream the dismantling process. Clearly, they want to capitalize on the outrage marketing. I understand the rage and frustration of not being able to play their favorite video game, because it's just like them removing devotion from all online retail platforms over the city joke, huh?
Stings, doesn't it?
As much as there are cheaters and spammers on Chinese server, most Chinese players are just gamers trying to enjoy Blizzard games. We cannot overlook the human cost in the midst of two giant corporations acting like toddlers, fighting over their favorite toy. Not only are these Chinese gamers unable to play the video game, losing a decade worth of progress in the process, they are left with Diablo Immortal. That's fate worse than death, man.
Just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
All in all, my condolences is with the Chinese players, racing pepperonis. But since I lost 7 games in a row in ranked Overwatch last night, I'm gonna blame it for it, even though they are not my games.